While we take a look at unique additions from General Motors from a cutting-edge attitude, they aren't sincerely as weird as they as soon as had been. As an instance, the 2016 Chevy Trax Midnight Edition, which was confined to 1,000 devices. If you had no idea these existed properly, I didn't either. The 2019 Colorado ZR2 Bison Edition is pretty cool, however, additionally quite highly priced. And I consider there was a Carhartt edition for the Silverado. The programs or additions or trims from the past felt like there has been maybe more notion positioned into them, or they just appearance extra interesting. As time goes on, this isn't always my first time creating a video in this topic. Experience free to test out my different videos. I will say though, in addition you cross on my channel, the more serious the quality is, let me remind you that these unique or bizarre additions don't strictly mean a one-of-a-kind paint job. I purposely wanted to avoid from making a listing like that. Also, the manner I'll present those variations will go from the oldest to the most modern. So in case you do not take care of the contemporary stuff or vice versa, there you go together with all that stated I do. Positive hope you loved this week's video. If you want to peer greater films like this, however from different agencies, make certain to just like the video. So I realize we start with the 1975 GMC Gentleman Health Club Edition to be completely obvious. I wanted this week's video to be on how trucks have become greater and greater high-priced over time. It is going to be a protracted video, and I need extra time. The motive why I deliver this up is due to the fact that it is one of those eyeballs that showcased a luxurious truck throughout a time while most purchasers bought trucks for paintings and no longer a Sunday cruise to the USA membership. These trucks have been as costly as a number of the private luxurious law enforcement officials at the time. Wood grain trim, vinyl or fabric bucket seats, aircon radio carpeting, a center console, padded armrests, energy steering and brakes. Those amenities have been brilliant, uncommon to discover in any truck, Maximum trucks. Round this time didn't have AC as Maximum, did not decide in for it because it had not anything to do with work. The equal applies to the one's other accessories. It really is now. Not to say that this changed into a completely new innovation. These options did exist, just no one wished them to add. These have been handiest offered with GM's faster hydromatic computerized transmission. Once more, most vans had been universally provided with a guide. Those vehicles had been based totally on the C10 lengthy bed. If my information is accurate, cement rear wheel and Cement four-wheel, my truck knowledges alternatively lackluster be aware how I stated lengthy mattress, even though I'm no longer pronouncing these trucks could not be placed to paintings because they are able to. However, I cannot see ranches, production corporations or oil enterprise using a gentleman health club for work. It truly would not make any sense. The center console is what precipitated the call on the time. It became not unusual to have your lady sit in the middle of the seat. Now there was a barrier between you and your date. For this reason being a gentleman. Now, I don't know how proper that is. This is primarily based on what a person stated in a discussion board, but it makes some sense looking on the outside of this truck. We've this excellent black and gold color scheme occurring along with having rally wheels, a steel painted gold grille, higher and lower body facette, moldings, so exceptional signature on every quarter panel. Any other truck that turned into similar to this turned into the Bo James edition. That too become handiest supplied for the 1975 version. 12 months all through the time, both of these editions had been quite pricey and the phase of luxury vehicles wasn't as famous as its miles these days. 1980 Oldsmobile 442W30 with just 886 produced the 442 name dates lower back to 196.4 and ran until 1980 4-barrel carburetor, 4-velocity manual and twin exhaust. The name turned into revived in 85 on the G-body and actually made and look in the early 99s. So what's so unique? Approximately this 442, properly for one, there is no manual provided, and I do not trust they got here, manufacturing facility with a twin exhaust device. This is a little bit of a letdown, isn't it? What if I informed you that this was the ultimate antique mobile for 1980 to get that 4-barrel 350 V8? Because it makes this listing because to nonetheless have this as an option. Come 1980 may be very stunning as the entirety was being downsized and detuned. The Pontiac Firebird didn't offer this much displacement, they were really pushing the usage of turbos. The equal may be stated for what was going on over at Ford. The Cobras, throughout this time, used a Rapid as well. Another exciting factor of these was the truth that they genuinely improved in strength from the previous years, the 78 and 79 with the 305, which changed into the largest engine presented, made round 160 horsepower. Those then again made 170. Now it truly is now not a good deal of a change, given the dimensions distinction in these motors. However, again, everything else became being detuned. The 442W30 appearance and handling package added round $1,400 to the charge of the Cutlass. With that you got either black with gold or white with gold. Paint aluminum sport wheels, painted grille, W30 and 440 decals, that olds 57 and rally suspension. There has been a non-obligatory T-top if you wanted to pay even greater. I've heard T-tops were prone to leaking and this is why they don't exist anymore. I can be wrong, although as for the indoors, they were pretty loaded up, you know, it's in vintage cellular now. Not pretty a Buick in maximum instances, however, actually a great ride for a middle-class owned family. Again in the day, Chevy Celebrity Euros Sport VR. The Chevrolet Movie Star was this front-wheel force mid-size sedan, supplied from 1982, all of the manner, till 1990 as simply one generation. This became on GM's a frame platform, along with the Pontiac, 6000 Olds Cutlass, Sierra and Buick Sentry. If you were alive during this time, then you definitely in all likelihood take into account seeing those all over the road. I think my mum even had a 6000 in high faculty or university popping out in 482. Those had been what the general public desired. A smaller gasoline green sedan wagon or coupe for 1984. A Euro's recreation choice became introduced to the Celebrity to appeal to the younger crowd. Why the name Eurosport? I don't have any concept. I wager Europe was associated with overall performance. I wouldn't know, due to the fact I'm yet to have any video on something non-American. I am operating on that, although, anyway, these become fairly popular, and GM wanted to look if they might squeeze out any more money from customers in order that they grew to become to an employer by way of the Call of Auto style to help with a fair sportier model of the Celebrity. They came out with the Eurosport RS in 1986. Essentially, it featured a lower frame package, the front air dam, different mirrors, bucket seats, and some greater cosmetic modifications. I wager it form of resembled a Euro tuner construct if that makes any feel below the hood changed into a 3 LV6 that made round 145 horsepower. As it turns out, these in no way saw the lights on the give up of the tunnel, and this assignment was cancelled in desire of the Eurosport VR, music in a global of conformity. It is frequently the specific that stands out. The Euro's recreation VR, by means of auto-style automobiles, has created a definition for individuality and innovation. The VR fulfills the desires of the driver who needs something extra. This package or edition become best presented for 2 version years, 1987 and 1988. The overall price for this was around $3,500. It really is nearly $10,000 in contemporary money. This bundle changed into approximately a 3D of the rate of a new Celebrity, all right? So what did you get for that rate? For the outside, you acquire new bumper skins with air dams, ground outcomes, bumper intake, unique wheels, and a grille delete. I bet it allowed for extra air to get into the identical 2.8 V6 inside the normal Euros Sport. And no, they didn't slap a Rapid or whatever in this, and the suspension, even as it become progressed, turned into carried on over the interior, became also cosmetically modified, special purple carpeting bucket seats with thigh bolsters and a few more alternatives delivered. One cool issue to these changed into the addition of a 5-speed Gatrag manual. Shifter, very professional brand, to mention the least. Those had been in a number of the BMWs at the time, but for that rate tag simply does not make up for it. Even worse though was the fact that there has been a 4-speed and even a 3-speed computerized offered. If we look closely at one of the advertisements for the Euros game VR, we are able to see to be had in a Movie Star collection 4-door sedan or wagon. Yes, you may get a Eurosport VR wagon. How bizarre is that? And for 1988 only, there has been a coupe model offered as well. At the end of the day, you'll be better off with nearly whatever else. For For that rate factor, back within the day, I could take a Spirit RT or maybe a Merca XR4 Ti. Honourable mention goes to the Geostorm hatch. I could say maximum folks are familiar with the Geostorm. It became GeoSport Compact supplying throughout the early 90s because it turns out that they had a hatchback or wagon-returned alternative. At some stage in the primary years of manufacturing, they were not all that famous as they were given the all-a-wire earlier than the extra popular carry PC. Even though nevertheless pretty weird in my eyes, our final entry is going to the Saab 97X Arrow. This is probably one of the latest vehicles to be featured on my channel, however that D.